And I thank our witnesses for being here. Before I dive into some of the issues that we have been called here to discuss today, I want to respond to my friend and colleague from South Carolina and some of her allegations and statements that she made about this so-called impeachment inquiry. I believe that she stated that Joe Biden got bribes, committed money laundering, and engaged in a prostitution ring. She says there are texts, emails, and phone calls. But then she says that we should trust the evidence itself. And with that, I agree, because the evidence itself shows absolutely no connection between Joe Biden and any of those allegations. So we are now entering into what is so-called an impeachment inquiry, ostensibly because the Republicans say they need more information, and that somehow by the Speaker of the House unilaterally declaring an investigation, an impeachment inquiry, that changes this committee's authority. It does not. This committee has been investigating these allegations for more than 8 months. This committee of House Republicans have obtained more than 12,000 documents, pages of bank records, more than 2,000 suspicious activity reports, numerous hours of witness testimony, texts, emails. And the problem they have is not that they can't get the evidence. The problem they have is that the evidence does not support their allegations. And so why are we going to spend the next few months on an bogus and sham impeachment inquiry? Because Donald Trump wants them to. And Donald Trump has been calling them and urging them to do it because he was impeached twice. One of those impeachments of Donald Trump was because he tried to extort the president of Ukraine to investigate Hunter Biden. The president of Ukraine refused. Unfortunately, House Republicans don't have the spine that President Zelensky has, and they are now doing Donald Trump's bidding. Let me move on to the topic today, and I know that my colleagues would like to narrowly focus this hearing on their sudden grave concerns about third-party litigation funding. That's right, my Republican colleagues are having a hearing to criticize and restrict the free market from investing in litigation. Well, how could that possibly be that the party of free markets would want to restrict the free market? Well, I know why. Because big corporations and special interests don't like the fact that independent investors can support litigation that otherwise would not be able to be brought because of the expense. And I also find it ironic that Republicans are criticizing third-party funding in legal proceedings when they themselves have engaged in the same kind of third-party funding. And I'd like to ask unanimous consent to introduce for the record an article entitled "FBI Whistleblowers Admit Taking Money from Ex-Trump Official." We'll take that. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Now, it's no surprise that the Republicans are doing the bidding of the same special interests who have been spending massive amounts of money, of dark money, to control the Supreme Court. But the odd thing is that we're here talking about the ethical issues of third-party litigation funding and not the ethical issues in the Supreme Court. In June, I led a letter of 18 former prosecutors and law enforcement officials urging the Chief Justice to abide by his own declaration that he would take care of these ethics concerns, and saying that if he were to do that appropriately and seriously, he would first have to establish an independent investigative body within the court that can provide transparency and accountability, and two, that he would have to establish a dedicated ethics council to provide advice to the justices on their ethical issues. Unfortunately, his response to that letter just simply thanked me for writing it. And that's not good enough. And so my time is up, but I would urge my colleagues on the other side of the aisle who ostensibly are concerned with ethics that they hold a hearing on the dramatic and absurd ethical lapses of Supreme Court justices and make sure that we implement an ethics code on the Supreme Court, which are the only 9 justices in our entire federal judiciary who do not have to abide by our ethics code. And I yield back.
Mr. Turner.